What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. This movie is directed by Destin Cretton. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like any of the videos, awesome, hit that like button, as well as commenting below on any video that you watch, including this one. So just to give you a heads up, this will be as non-spoiler as possible. I'll try to stick to the trailer. This is a movie I know a lot of people are looking forward to for the simple fact that it's the first true original Phase 4 character that has not really had a past. Yes, there is some stuff that was in the past MCU, but as far as Shang-Chi himself, he's really a new character in this cinematic universe. But I just want to give you a heads up, keep off of Twitter, all that good stuff if you don't want to know anything about it. And so this movie, Shang-Chi in The Legends of the Ten Rings, is of course the newest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It introduces us to a new character. Shang-Chi, of course, is played by Simu, who of course was in Kim's Convenience, and he's an individual, like most of these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, follows a particular destiny, and that particular destiny involves his father, who's played by Leung, who's a very famous actor in his own right, and he plays Wenwu, who of course is very important with the rings that he has on his arms. You've seen the trailer, you've already seen the rings, and I thought that was kind of funny because the 10 rings represents the name of the organization that we've heard of course, since Iron Man 3 and so on and so forth, so we know, actually, I'm sorry, since Iron Man 1. So the 10 Rings are a very important organization in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But this movie, like I said, also has Awkwafina, who plays Katie. And of course, we have his sister, who's played by Meng'er. She is also in this movie, and she's very, very important to her role. Has some very interesting kind of back history to her character himself that kind of really plays to some interesting mixes into what this movie is trying to do. And some other characters pop up that I won't spoil, some really interesting kind of conceptual characters. And in essence, this movie, like I said, is just about destiny. It's about individualism. It's about what it takes to be the man you're supposed to be. It's about people who are hiding from what they are, and it's a movie that is very typical of Marvel when it comes to the cinematic universe, the Steve Rogers or the Tony Starks or any of these characters, these individuals, the Thor and so on and so forth. It's very much fits in that mold of Destiny style characters and so on and so forth. And so that's kind of where I'll leave it. I don't want to spoil too much because there's some interesting stuff in this movie that really kind of gets into the humanistic nature of the father, son, sister, mother relationship, because Tony Leung's character is not necessarily the evil entity you expect him to be. He's very much fitting into that mold of like a Killmonger in a lot of aspects, where he's driven by some very interesting concepts and theories and ideas, and he's not necessarily the evil entity you expect him to be. So it's a really kind of interesting character concept, having a character that you expect to be full evil but is truly not. So that's a very fascinating kind of look into his character. And so with that said, this is a movie I know people are a little apprehensive for. I've seen some of the trailer reacts, I've seen some of the comments. There's some people that are not really looking forward to this movie, so I understand why they did a fan screening of it, which was really cool because I really wanted to see this movie because I like Destin Cretton after, of course, Just Mercy. And it's a movie that I feel really needs to kind of gain buzz for it to be somewhat successful. Of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic, all that good stuff. But like Chloe Zhao's Eternals, Marvel is going into some very interesting territory where they're taking directors. I mean, they've been doing this for quite a while. They did it with Russo brothers, but they're taking directors that are known for very in-your-face, interesting kind of filmographies, very interesting kind of ways they shoot things. And when you watch like a movie like Just Mercy, it's a very humanistic tale about what it's like to be African American in the prison system and so on and so forth. So bringing him on to do a story about family and stuff like that really was a bold choice, I guess you could say. So like I said, I was really looking forward to it. I like the director, I like the crew. They got a nice cast with this movie, very A-list budget kind of cast and whatnot. And this movie was not only, to me personally, one of the best in the MCU, but it's a movie that really feels like a painting in a lot of aspects. It follows some very interesting kind of homages to some popular martial arts movies, and it's just a beautiful, well shot, gorgeously designed, great camera work. Everything about what Marvel has basically allowed their directors to do, this movie shows it in spades. And on top of that, the story is great, the cast is great. Yes, it falls into a lot of Marvel tropes, which can be a problem, especially 12, 13 years later. I do think they need to reinvent themselves. And there's some things in this movie, especially with Awkwafina and some other characters that pop up, that are a little shorthanded. It deals with some villains that aren't that great, and it's a movie that really does fall by the wayside when it does do some of the Marvel tropes. But some of the stuff, some of the use of the CG, some of the camera work, some of the just ideas that the director and the writers and the producers are putting on screen are really showing you the steps forward on a movie or a cinematic universe that has done wonders to begin with. This movie takes a lot of chances. Sometimes it fails, but most of the time it delivers, and I was completely pleased with the movie from front to back. I think Simu is going to be a huge star later on in his career. Awkwafina already has a career going on. I think, Tony Leung being in this movie is a huge get, because he was not an actor who's known for doing these types of movies. But like I said earlier, Tony Leung there's so much humanistic quality to his character and his ability to show human emotion that is unlike a lot of the MCU movies. Like I said, the last time I really saw something that was this humanistic was Killmonger with the Michael B. Jordan character, because you understand why he's doing what he's doing, but he has a lot of anger behind his eyes, and there's a lot of reasoning behind, it makes him a realistic character in a lot of aspects. Yes, he's in a Marvel movie, but I like when Marvel does that stuff, because it makes it a much more interesting tale than, the early stuff that they came out with. It's what makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe so good, so I give it a lot of credit. But like I said, the visual fidelity in this movie is always great. The camera work they're doing some really cool, inventive stuff that I haven't seen before in a Marvel movie, and it just overall is just a fun time. It's enjoyable. It's highly rated, in my personal opinion, of Marvel Cinematic Universe. I said Black Widow was like top tier, but this is definitely a top tier movie. This is a movie that if it had come out in 2008, like with Iron Man, would have been a classic. It would have been, I think it's still going to be a classic in the sense, but it also on top of that allows an underrepresented portion of the world to have their own movie, and they do it with like a lot of love and a lot of justice, I guess you could say. And I think that's a great thing. I think it is. I think like Black Panther, I think this movie is going to be a hit with the crowds in China and so on and so forth. But overall, I'll kind of leave it at that. Like I said, I think Destin Cretton does a really nice job. I think he has a good future ahead of him when he does whatever he does, if he comes back for the Marvel Cinematic Universe or whatever. But it's nice to see Kevin Feige just getting directors that really have never done stuff like this before, giving them a little bit of direction and allowing them to have their visions. And like I said, when Chloe Zhao's Eternals comes out, it's going to be very much a Chloe Zhao movie, but it's going to be a Marvel movie, and I just can't wait for it. But with that said, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a true winner for Marvel Cinematic Universe, true winner for movie making in general, and is definitely deserved of the praise it's going to get. So overall, I enjoyed it, 100% recommend. Hope that was as non-spoiler as possible, but like I said, it's a fantastic film. So with that said, that is my take on Shang-Chi, the Legend of the Ten Rings. Just to let you know, that is how the name is said. It is very, very apparent in the movie, and definitely beats you over the head to make sure you know how this movie is named, or at least the character is named. So just let you know, it is Shang-Chi, the Legend of the Ten Rings. But otherwise, in the comments below, are you looking forward to this movie? Do you know much about Shang-Chi himself? Are you excited for this movie adaptation? Please don't spoil it. If you know anything about this movie, please do not spoil it. But anyways, for the rest of you, please comment below how excited you are for this movie if you are. Anyways, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming in next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and as always, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.